as a television anchor, reporter, and that's when I really saw the importance of how multimedia can really help drive some of the issues and help spur education in the communities. And I was over a decade in the TV business. When I came to Libre, I also came to realize a really disturbing truth, was that voices like ours, when it came to weighing in on important policy issues, were far, far, far outnumbered to voices on the left that would continuously drive their narratives. And I remember showing into these media places and pitching myself to, hey, can I come talk about immigration? Can I come talk about Obamacare? Can I come talk about, what these regulations are doing to small businesses? And it was always a no. And it took time, but over the years, we began to get traction. People began to have us to offer what you call the counterpoint, the opposing viewpoint, it was called. And over time, what I began to see up until about 2016 was that changed in the Latino community. It changed, and it was no longer the Libre Initiative, the conservative, the Libre Initiative. It was no longer La Raza. It was no longer Mi Familia Vota, the Hispanic Mi Familia Vota. It was then the progressive-leaning Mi Familia Vota, the conservative, libertarian-leaning Libre Initiative. And so you began to see a distinction and a recognition that communities were monolithic. And it's because of the message, guys. We have a message that wins, right? Who doesn't want to manifest their own destiny, right? Who doesn't want to raise their kids and have a better life than they did and not have the government tell you how or what or when, or you have to work a certain amount of hours and you don't get health care, right? So the message has been working, and I think in the last election cycle, we saw that shift. We saw Latinos overwhelmingly voting Republican, voting for conservative principles, because they saw the economic situation that we were across. So now we have to make sure that we deliver on that. And so what we're doing at Americans for Prosperity is talking about the benefits of how the big beautiful bill, the Trump tax cuts, is gonna help Latino businesses and all businesses thrive. We have to make sure we're driving important issues that are gonna bring costs down on energy, on cost of living. And so currently there's something called the SPEED Act in Congress right now that has passed in the House. And what that does is it expedites permitting for infrastructure projects in the energy sector, removing red tape so that approval processes move faster. At the end of the day, when too many infrastructure projects are stalled, it results in job losses, it results in investors having the rug pulled up for them, and it results in limited choices for abundant energy. And as demand grows, because population grows, we need more providers to be able to provide jobs and bring those costs down. And so we're really proactively aggressive in trying to get these kinds of policies passed, because we need to make the case to the American people that we're working to bring costs down and to bring inflation down to make the cost of living better. And I gotta tell you, if the economic trade winds ahead of this cycle can make it very difficult if we don't do that, right? And so I would encourage you all in this room, if you have time, next week, we're actually hosting a roundtable to talk about this important issue and how we can get energy abundance in the country. You're all invited. If you have more questions, reach out to Steven and he can get you signed up and ready to roll on that. But that's what we're up to. Obviously at the state level, our Battleborn Blueprint is a legislative agenda that's focused on bringing cost of living down, providing better educational opportunities for our children through choice and innovative school choice programs. It's about reducing occupational licensing barriers so that more people can reinvent themselves and find other career options if they see that they need to. And unfortunately right now, our occupational licensing regime in this state is one of the worst in the country. It's very difficult, right? The economy suffers, the recession comes, the casinos lay off workers, people have a hard time making money. The last thing they need is asking government for permission slips to be able to seek an alternative revenue source for their families. So we reduce occupational licensing barriers, we expand opportunity, and we give people an opportunity to succeed instead of making it harder for them. So you can find that information on battlebornblueprint.com. It's our website, and it's something that we're going to continue to push in the communities. And we thank all the partners that have been helpful for that. And I was told we have to be out of here by 8, so I think I'm going to stop now before I get tomatoes thrown at me. But thank you very much. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing, and thank you, Hal, for having us, and we look forward to continuing to partner with this group as the year continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Let's give it up for him. All right, well, now we're coming to the moment that we've all been waiting for, and that is our special guest for this evening, our Lieutenant Governor, Stavros Anthony. So you know what, I was gonna read this bio, but it's probably no big deal, okay? I would rather have more time for him to talk to us than for me to read from this piece of paper. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. Just everyone knows and loves Stavros, right? You know, and if I could just say why, the reason why I think Stavros is so beloved is because he's truly a man of the people. I mean, he comes to these things. He actually shakes your hand. You know, he actually remembers who you are. It's amazing, right? So we need more of Stavroses, don't you think? Yeah, so let's give it up. Stavros Anthony.
Thank you. It's very nice of you. I appreciate it. I feel like I'm a symphony director or something here. Get all you guys singing. Again, my name's Stavros Anthony. I'm honored to be your Nevada Lieutenant Governor, and I just want to thank you for coming out tonight. I really appreciate everything all of you do for the great state of Nevada. You're really the tip of the spear when it comes to getting Republicans elected, our constitutional conservative values pursued in the state of Nevada. So please give yourself a nice round of applause for everything that you do. I very, very much appreciate it. Let me ask you a quick question. This is kind of a trick question. How's President Trump doing? I mean, he's got the Democrat Party twisted into a pretzel. I mean, they're having margaritas with gang members and on and on and on. It's really crazy. But you know what's the most important thing is, and this, you don't get a lot of this out of elected officials, when he made all his promises during his campaign, he's kept every single one of those promises. Right. And that's what we voted for. So God bless President Trump. Absolutely. So quickly, just to give you a quick description of what I do as Nevada Lieutenant Governor, I'm the second highest constitutional office in the state. I'm responsible for tourism, promoting outdoor recreation. I'm on the board of the Nevada Department of Transportation. I'm on the board of the Governor's Office of Economic Development, where we try to diversify the economy. I support small businesses, and there's a couple of Homeland Security and a couple other things. One of my responsibilities that's in the Constitution is I'm the president of the Senate during the legislative session. So during the legislative session, which most of you know, it's every 2 years for 120 days. Everybody goes up to Carson City for that 120 days. It's the most dangerous time to be in Nevada when the legislative session's in session, because they can cause a lot of damage. So I go up there for the 120 days. I run a house, and every day the Senate has a floor session. I run the floor session. So give you just to back up a little bit, the makeup of the legislature is we have the Assembly, we have the Senate. The Democrats have a supermajority in the Assembly, and they have a majority in the Senate. I've been through 2 legislative sessions, and basically the Democrat Party controls the legislative branch. One vote away from being able to veto to override Governor Lombardo's vetoes. So it's, you know, I hate to tell you, but it's a pretty toxic place during that 120 days. And I will tell you, not all of the Democrat legislators, but a lot of them are mean and nasty. And they're power hungry. And if you take the group as a whole, they are left of California. I mean, seriously, they want to take away your guns. They want to take away your property rights. They want to control your lives during that 120 days. And that's why Governor Lombardo has vetoed more bills than any other governor in the state of Nevada the last 2 sessions. So kudos to him. So again, the day-to-day operations, the legislators are meeting, they're having committee hearings and stuff, but the time that I'm involved is when there's a floor session in the Senate where all 21 senators come together to do business on the floor. I'm the one who runs a floor session. It's kind of a check and balance. Constitutional framers wanted somebody outside of the legislative branch overseeing the Senate to make sure that they didn't get out of control, they didn't violate any rules, and they will do that if they get a chance to. So I could tell you a lot of stories about some of the things that happened during that 120 days, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I want to tell you 2 stories in particular that kind of describes what's going on up there. And some of you may have heard these stories. I apologize, but you're going to hear them again. Nothing I can do about that. So as many of you know, during the last, 10, 15 years, there's this thing been going on, just kind of slowly metastasizing all over the country where men are playing in women's sports, boys are playing in girls' sports, and it was kind of trickling around the country. You kind of looked at it and go, I mean, that's like the stupidest thing you ever heard, men and women's sports. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And why are we even talking about it? But it was happening all over the country, and people were just not standing up to it. They were just letting it happen. Didn't have the courage to say anything, or if they did say something, they would get beat up, so they'd back off. And there is a gal named Riley Gaines, who I'm not sure you heard of, who was probably the first one. Give her a nice round of applause. She's one of the first ones to kind of be vocal about it. And she was at the Spring Mountain Republican Women Club meeting a couple of years ago. I went to that. And it was very nice meeting her, wonderful lady. But you really didn't hear about anything going on in Nevada. So, okay, well, I don't know we're all thinking, what can we do about it? It's not right. But we're really getting much in this state. So, but it was happening. So 2 legislative sessions ago, there were 2 bills introduced, one in the Assembly, one in the Senate. Assemblyman Gurr and the Assemblyman Senator Buck in the Senate introduced a bill to ban men and women's sports. Got no traction, nobody even paid attention to it, got zip acknowledgement. The Democrats obviously killed it because they can kill whatever they want. So just remember that the Democrats and the legislative branch, when they're in control, can kill anything they want, period. So these didn't get any hearings, nobody really was paying attention to them. And the legislature was over and then they kind of went away. So they were going to get, I talked to Burt Gurr and Senator Cox, and they said they were both going to introduce the same bills in the next legislative session when it came up again. This was last year, no, 2 years ago when we talked about this. So in the meantime, we had this incident that happened up in, it was 2 years ago, up in UNR. I'm sure you've all heard of this. A courageous group of female athletes, volleyball players, decided on their own, with no support from anybody, that they were not going to play against a California team that had a man on it. They said, this isn't right, it's not fair, it's not safe. Women have been hit in the head with a spiked ball by a male dressed up as a female, and we're not going to do it. We are going to forfeit the game. And give them a nice round of applause. I'm telling you, great group of women. And they received a lot of flack. The president didn't support them. The NCAA didn't support them. They got a lot of hate emails and stuff on social media against them, but they did it anyway, and they continue to say, we're not going to do this. So there was a rally held up in Reno. A bunch of people came together to hold a rally in Reno to support these women. And I decided to go up there and attend this rally and see what was going on. So I went up there, and I thought there'd be, I don't know, maybe 100 people at this rally. There was like 600 people showed up. They had to change the venue from a smaller venue to the Reno Convention Center because there were so many people that were going to show up. And I went up there, and I met with these ladies, and I talked to them, and they told me their story, and it was just incredible, the courage that they had. And they had a series of, and they had they had the gathering, and they had some speakers. They asked me at the last minute to say something, which I did. And I just kind of left there going, all right, I'm the Lieutenant Governor of Nevada. I'm not sure what I can do to support these women, but I have to do something. So I got with my staff, Rudy, and some other folks, and said, you guys got any ideas? And they said, yeah. Why don't we start the Lieutenant Governor's Task Force to support female athletes in Nevada? And I said, that's a great idea. So we did it. We put it together. And thank you. And I didn't put myself on the task force. I didn't put Rudy on the task force. We brought together a group of women that were ticked off about this. Come to find out, some of the girls that we put on the task force were actually athletes in Nevada on a high school level who played against boys that we didn't even know about. It was just hidden away. Nobody knew about it. So Marcy Smith, NCAA champion swimmer, was the chair, and then there was like 20 ladies put on there. Absolutely phenomenal. We started making, we decided that we are going to make some noise here. Make some noise in order to try to get these two bills passed in the next legislative session, which was coming up. So prior to the legislative session, we had a big rally in Las Vegas at the State Building. Some of you may have been there. It was pretty well attended. These ladies gave some great speeches about why men should not be in women's sports. Then I went up to Carson City. The two bills were introduced. And again, this time we were not going to let the Democrats get away with just burying this thing. So we held another big rally up in Carson City at the Capitol building. We brought up a bunch of the task force members who wrote letters and went around to specifically meet with Democrat legislators to let them know that we want these bills heard. We want to vote on these bills. Some of them were very nice. Some of them were just nasty. Tore up young ladies' letters and threw them in the garbage right in front of them. That's the kind of stuff that you have to put up with up there. They would not give us a public hearing. They would not allow the bills to get introduced in committees. So what we did was we brought our task force together. It was supposed to be introduced into, I think, the Education Committee. And when the Education Committee was having hearings on other bills, because they would not hear these bills, when it came to public comment, which you have to have at the end, we lined them all up during public comment, and all we talked about was the two bills to get rid of men and women's sports. Yeah. And they were pissed. They were pissed because we were making so much noise about this. Unfortunately, do you know how many Democrat legislators supported those two bills?
0.
Not a one. Can you believe that? Not a one came to me and said, hey, I want to just tell you I support these two bills. The leadership is not going to let them be introduced, but I want you to know that, and I want to be public about it. You know how many female legislators with daughters supported the bills? 0. I mean, is that mind-boggling? That not a one of them would support something like this? That they all rallied around men dressed up as women that wanted to play in women's sports. I mean, I was absolutely shocked. The 2 bills died again, but we put up a good fight. We made noise. We let people know what the state of Nevada stands for, because I guarantee you 80% of the people in this state do not want men in women's sports. It could even be 90%. Probably. So we did get, there is some good news though. Because of the ruckus that we made, because we were so vocal about it, because people heard about it, there's an organization called the NIAA, the Nevada Intercollegiate Athletic Association, and they govern athletics on a high school and middle school level in the school districts. So they were having a meeting after the legislative session, and we asked them to put an agenda item on there for them to make a rule that men could not be in women's sports. They did have an agenda item. We showed up in mass during public comment, and they ended up voting, and that's the way it is today, that in high school and middle school, you cannot have boys play in women's sports. That is the rule here. So that's a good thing. And I applaud the association for bringing that up and actually supporting female athletes. In addition, obviously, Trump has signed executive orders. I'm sure he did it because of my task force. I doubt that. But Trump's pursuing it. We just had a Supreme Court hearing a couple of days ago. So we are getting traction. We're going to continue to try to get this, if I'm elected as the next lieutenant governor. Thank you. We're going to do this again because we want this solidified into law. And so we're going to keep moving along. I think we're doing well. On the downside is I take a lot of slings and arrows over this thing, man. It's unbelievable how much I get attacked by doing something like this. I'm currently going through an ethics complaint that I am not legally allowed to start a task force in women's sports. And I tell everybody, I'm involved in tourism, transportation, on and on, but beyond that, I can do whatever the hell I want. I'm the lieutenant governor. So, but I have to hire an attorney, I have to go through this ethics complaint. They just filed another ethics complaint like 2 days ago. So they're just coming after me over this. But this is the point of the story, is you have to have courage to stand up to these people. You cannot back down when you know you're right. And I want all you to believe that, and I want our candidates to believe that, and then once they're elected to believe that you have to stand up to these people with your constitutional conservative values, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's evil. We have to stand up to that. So that's one of my stories out of the legislature. My second story is, this is the other part. And the other thing that happened with the men and women sports, I'm just watching my clock here. The other thing about men and women sports is I have, as Lieutenant Governor, I can introduce 3 BDRs, bill draft requests, that I believe should be laws in the state of Nevada. So one of them was to continue the operation of the Office of Small Business Advocacy. Denise in the back was one of my employees in that office. So it was to continue. It had been around, the office had been around for like 6 years. 2 sessions ago, when I asked for funding for it, it had unanimous support in the Assembly, unanimous support in the Senate. The governor signed it. not a peep of opposition. I had to resubmit it one more time to get the funding this last legislative session. And you know what happened? The Democrats killed it. The office had to go away July 1st. Denise lost her job because of how petty these people are, that they would kill a bill that supports small businesses in Nevada because I started this task force. The second one was to help farmers and ranchers all over the state of Nevada prop up agriculture tourism on their property if they wanted to. It would provide some funding for marketing. It just helps a lot of our farmers and ranchers, struggle during certain times because that's the rancher and farming business. So I wanted to give them an opportunity to do agriculture tourism. We're only one of 10 states in the country that does not have an agriculture tourism policy. So I wanted to implement that. That's kind of a no-brainer, right? They killed it because of my task force. And then the third one, which is really funny, is I put together a bill draft request that would allow school districts, county school districts, to put together and really encourage them to put together curriculum, official curriculum that students could follow that dealt with outdoor recreation. I'm the chairman of the Outdoor Recreation Advisory Board. I'm trying to get these kids off the phone and outdoors, doing outdoor activities. So I introduced that bill. Guess what happened to that one?
Democrats killed it.
Nope.
Nope.
They took the bill, they crossed out my name, two of them put their name on it, and they passed it. Is that incredible? And one of them is the Democrat lady who's running against me as lieutenant governor. That's how petty these people are. It just absolutely boggles my mind. All right, and then the final story, and then maybe a couple of minutes for questions. So the legislative session is going. It's 120 days, which means it's exactly 120 days, which means on a particular date, I think it was June 4th, at midnight, that is what's called sine die, the session's over. No more business after that. So I'm the president of the Senate again. I'm running a floor session. It's and normally a floor session is basically, all right, it's time for a floor session. There's a bell that rings in the legislative building. It tells everybody the floor session is going to start in about 10 or 15 minutes. Sometimes it takes another 30 minutes because people are getting papers together, and the secretary of the Senate is doing things to get this floor session together. So the bell rings. Might be 30, 45 minutes before we get started. Sometimes it's 10 or 15. And then we have our floor session, and then it's over, and then everybody goes off and does whatever they're supposed to do that day. So it's the last day. It's around 11:30, and the bell rings. And everybody hears the bell, and my normal routine is I hear the bell, I go into the Senate chamber, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom when I'm up there. Some of these sessions last, 7, 8 hours. Obviously that one wasn't going to last that long, but I did my thing. I came out of the Senate conference area. I went to the door where you go into the floor, and the door was locked. And everybody was in there at their desks, and I look up at the podium where I'm supposed to be, and Senator Dondero Loop, who needs to be defeated this go-around, she does not need to be in the Senate. She's the president pro tem, so if I'm not there, she would run the floor session. But it's only when I let her know, like, I'm not going to be there tomorrow because I have to go to Las Vegas because a friend died. You're going to run the floor session. So it's kind of, I'll let you know in advance. But this one here, they actually locked the door, and she took over the floor session of the Senate.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe what was going on. So I'm thinking, all right, what do I do here? Do I start pounding on the door? Do I, kick the door in? Do I make a dramatic appearance? Or what am I going to do? So, because I'm a prior police officer, I'm a little calm, cool, collected. Let me see what's going on here. And I'm looking through the window, and one of the senators sees me looking through the window, and I look at him, and he goes, and you could tell, all right, his mind's going, he goes, all right, I got to do something here. So he stands up and says, this is out of order, this is unconstitutional, you've taken over the floor session, the lieutenant governor's standing out there, this is illegal, and starts making a big ruckus over it. So the sergeant at arms, and he had nothing to do with this, he's just following orders. He opens the door, I walk in, and you could hear a pin drop. They look so stupid. I mean, they just look dumb. So I walk in, I'm looking around, I look at Dondero Loop, she looks at me, I kind of give her the evil eye, and she finally she's having a conversation with the Secretary of the Senate. I think she's trying to decide what she's gonna do. Finally, she walks by me, I give her a dirty look, and she goes and sits down, and I go up there and I take over the Senate. So this is what was happening behind the scenes. So the Democrats had decided that they were going to pass a resolution at the last minute that there's a committee, it's a legislative committee, it doesn't matter what it's involved in, but it does have some power, that has 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats on it. They were going to pass a resolution to add a 4th Democrat on there so they would have control of that committee. It's never had that before. It's always been a split. But they want power. They want control, they want power. They were going to pass this resolution, and they knew if I was in there running the floor session, they wouldn't have enough time, because you can watch me, I'm very methodical, I take my time, I make sure people are recognized, I read the agenda, and they knew they had to get in there, take control, and jam it through before I got there in order to get this thing passed. So I take over, I'm going through my thing, and before they could pass the resolution, what happened? Sine die, I took my gavel, it's sine die, the Senate's over with, 120 days is done, and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. Because they started arguing, no, sine die is only when we're done with the floor session. I said, no, it's not. I'm interpreting it. It turned into another 45-minute mess. I'm not going to get into that part because it gets really confusing. But the point of the story is they will do anything to gain power. They'll change the election system to gain power. They will do whatever it takes that they're in charge, and we have to push back on that. Because when they're in charge, when Biden was in charge, the country went to hell. If they want to do that here in Nevada, they have to gain control, and we have to stop them from doing that. Come on. So, yeah. So, and then my last thing is, in the next election cycle, which is next November, we have to try to win 3, I think you mentioned this, 3 Nevada Senate seats. We have to flip them. If we do that, we'll have a majority in at least the Senate. It's kind of tough to get a majority in the Assembly because it's a pretty good majority. But it's in the Senate, we can flip 3 seats and at least get the majority in the Senate. And that's where you all come in. I mean, that's why it's important for you. We have to get our constitutional officers elected, including me, to stop these folks. So we are about the Constitution. We're about freedom, liberty, independence. They are not. And that's why we need to get Republicans elected in the next election. So with that, I think we got like 5 minutes for questions. Yes, I can take a couple if anybody's interested.
Let's give a great hand to our Lieutenant Governor. Okay, so he is very, very generous in giving us this 5 minutes for questions. The way it's going to work, though, is you're going to come up here and stand. Okay, so the first 3 people that get up here, you get to ask a question. Come on, let's go.
By the way, I have business cards with the QR code if you'd like to make a campaign contribution. So.
Excellent. Okay, and here's the other thing. I'm holding the mic. Do not tell your life story, just ask a question.
We take suggestions. Next time you go to the Assembly, request they put in men's urinals in the ladies' rooms.
Okay.
All right? And just have the men line up in front of the ladies' rooms that the women have to wait 2 hours to get into the bathroom.
Very good.
I'm just wondering if there's any kind of recourse when they pull an underhanded, illicit act like that.
You know, that's a great question. We talked about it after. We talked about suing them, and we talked about this, and we talked about that. But we sat back and said, you know, where do we need to put our resources? Getting Republican senators elected and flipping those 3 seats. We need to spend our energy there.
So one question is about the LCB, because what we saw last session, they write horrible bills, they have no understanding of the state constitution, and they reject a lot of what Republicans are due. Is there any way that we can reform the LCB? Is that through legislature? Is that through just policy of the majority leaders? I don't quite understand why we have LCB and legislators aren't writing their own bills.
Yeah, so just so you understand, LCB is a Legislative Council Bureau. So during the legislative session, if you want a bill actually written up as a bill and introduced, you have to go through the Legislative Council Bureau. They're a group of attorneys, they're state employees. They take your idea or your outline and turn it into an actual bill that gets introduced. There's a lot of talk that the people in the LCB are not as nonpartisan as you would want them to be, because they're supposed to be representing all the legislators. So that is a discussion that we had. That's something that we should look at. Maybe there needs to be some kind of legislature. Maybe there needs to be some kind of policy. This board that they tried to overtake is the one that actually makes policy for LCB. That's what that committee does. So that's something that I'm glad you brought it up, that we definitely need to spend some time on. I think one more question.
One last question.
I know you passed, well, sort of, to do something about restorative justice. Is there any way that it can have some kind of teeth, at least see some kind of change in how we discipline in the schools?
So, keep in mind, the Democrats control the legislature. We introduced a bill to make election integrity stronger. Nothing. We introduced a bill to increase school choice in Nevada. Zip. We introduced a bill to make our streets safer. Nothing. They don't pass our stuff. They just don't. And until we get the legislature back, we're just introducing stuff that they are going to kill. So luckily we have a governor that vetoes all their garbage, but we really don't get our agenda passed because they're not going to pass it. And if we at least had a majority in the Senate, maybe we'd have a little bit more negotiating power. So they wouldn't be able to pass whatever they wanted. They'd have to sit down with us and say, all right, you want this, maybe we'll give you that. And we can, like Ronald Reagan said, if you can get 80% of what you want, you're in pretty good shape. So, there's always questions about, well, how can we get this passed? How can we get that passed? We're not getting anything passed on a state level unless we take the legislature back. And that's where all you come in. That's where all your friends come in, whether it's donating money, volunteering for a campaign, having a get-together at your house, getting candidates to come into your neighborhood and helping them knock on doors. And it's not just you, but if you get 10 other people, we can make a difference. So with that, I don't want to get us locked into this room because I want to go home. The Red Wings, okay. I don't want to get into hockey, never mind. I shouldn't have said that. All right, God bless all of you. Thank you for having me, and see you soon.
Lieutenant